this is what growth feels like. When things are hard, you feel like you've tried everything, you get rejected. It's like, this is what growth feels like. Like if you want to live this epic life and do something great, you shouldn't complain then when things are hard. Nobody becomes epic by doing the easy stuff.
That was Jason VanDevere, the founder of Goal Crazy and author of Dream Driven, a step-by-step process to discover your dream business and launch it this year. My man Jason is an entrepreneur and founder to his core. The dude has 34 rental properties, a thriving family auto dealership, not to mention he has a happy, successful family of a wife and 3 young kids. But here's the crazy part. Jason is only 30 years old. Today on Marketing by Design, he's going to teach you and I how you can unlock that same high-performing entrepreneur inside of yourself. Today on the podcast, Jason and I talk about how to take signals from your network as things to dive deeper into.
I hosted focus groups. This, I would say, was like super important, and I would recommend it for anybody launching a product.
Specific habits that make him such an outlier and high performer that I and you can both replicate in our day-to-day lives.
To me, it's just like, I don't want my mind focused on what should I do next. It's like, I have an alarm that tells me to get up. I have an alarm that tells me like, it's time to start praying. I have an alarm that tells me it's time to stop praying and go do a workout. I have an alarm that says it's time to go get the kids. Some people think like that sounds robotic. I'd rather be like following what my alarms are telling me that I was intentional about setting, rather than most people don't plan their day at all.
And 1 to 2 of his own hot takes on entrepreneurship, building a business, growing a network that you can actually stick to and sustain for the long term.
I want you to scour your heart to find like, what's the product that's going to light a fire inside of you? When the challenges arise, which will happen, your desire needs to be so much greater than that challenge in front of you, where it's like, it's irrelevant. I will figure this out because this is what I want to do with my life.
I'm super excited to share this episode with you guys. I see nothing but up and to the right for Jason. Everything he's doing and growing, he's taught me a lot personally. He's a bit of a founder, role model, people that I look up to in business who I think are doing things right. Be sure to check out Dream Driven and Goal Crazy at the links below if you learned as much from Jason as I did. Without further ado, you're listening to episode 119 of the podcast. This is Jason VanDevere by Design.
So I'm Jason VanDevere. I live in Akron, Ohio. Business-wise, my first business, well, not first business, but my main business is called Goal Crazy. It started with me selling these planners that I designed. They help entrepreneurs figure out their goals, set their goals, track their goals, hold themselves accountable to accomplish their goals. And when I started that, I had no clue what was going to happen next. But then people started buying them and they wanted more. So it turned into workshops and courses and coaching, podcasts of my own. Now, most recently, a book called Dream Driven. Help somebody figure out what type of business they want to start and how to start it. But on the side of that, I've been getting rental properties. So I'm up to 34 apartments in our area that I own and manage. Then, probably more importantly, I'm married. I've got 3 kids and spend a lot of time goofing off with them.
Yeah, dude, man. And you're 30 years old too, which I was very intimidated to learn, because I mean, this is kind of the curse of high performers, is you see the people who accomplish a lot at a young age and you're always like, man, like, what am I doing? But
I think you're doing great.
we can try, but it's good that you're making it real though. Someone that's just that age, so young. But did you have an existential moment when you turned 30? Because you look younger than I do. Like, if people were watching on YouTube, you can tell that you're a pretty vibrant young dude. But did you have any existential moments when you turned 30?
I didn't. I was really happy with where I was in my life. Have businesses I like, with 3 kids. I just turned 30 a few months ago. But I feel like maybe I went through that when I was 27. It was like, wow, I'm 27 years old. I'm almost 30. But at the time I was married, we were pregnant with our first kid. My wife is older than me, so she did not have appreciation for me going through this. Like, it was like, suck it up. You're about to be a dad. You're an adult. But 30, no, I was ready.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, man. And I mean, you have the conversational maturity level of someone far more advanced than that. But I want to kind of talk to you about all your experiences that led even at such a young age, like you have a lot of diverse experience. And like in car sales, you mentioned real estate, entrepreneurship. What was it kind of like, just at a high level, like circling the plane around maybe finding the thing that you wanted to really double in on? I know you can kind of include all of
Mhm.
these assets and what makes us uniquely you. But how did you kind of pick the thing that you wanted to, double click on and make more of the focus moving forward?
Yeah. I had a passion for planners. Super weird kind of passion, but uh before I started my business, I was working for my dad. So he's a car dealer. If you come up here, you'll see our last name VanDevere all over. We've got five
Yes.
dealerships. So I was working mostly at his Kia store, but I had to learn every department. And if I learned all the departments and I'll start going to the different stores, then I could become a car dealer. Uh, so with that, I had to get really good at setting my goals, figuring out like what are the goals of this department? How do I do well? What are the behaviors I need to be doing every single day? And just holding myself accountable. And I started buying planners. They all had the right keywords out there. Like they were listed as exactly what I wanted, but they just didn't deliver. Like if you read a bunch of self-help books or it sounds like you go to conferences, like you learn these traits or like here are things you should be doing. And I just wanted a planner that put that all together in a system. Like if I
Mhm.
follow this system, I'm gonna reach my goals. And I couldn't find it. After working at the dealership for a few years, I realized it didn't light a fire inside of me. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So just crazy idea. Now planners is like a pretty good business. There's lots of people launching planners. When I was doing it, everyone told me it was a bad idea. They were
Mhm.
like, you should launch an app. Paper products are dying. They're the thing of the past. You shouldn't launch a planner. But that's what got me excited. So I tried it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have like a journaling habit growing up? Because that's what I think is a lot of my a lot of my best habits are started around writing. And like I think
Mhm.
there's so much that's lost nowadays, and just like the physical application of pen to paper and the practice that you build around that. So did you ever have a practice growing up where it's like I am sitting down and consciously, whether it was like a stream of thoughts journaling practice, or is there anything you can say about how like the physical writing of a journal versus maybe just putting tasks into your calendar or something like that? What's the
Yeah.
differentiator there? And do you have kind of a background in journaling?
Yeah, I like journaling. I probably got into that right after I graduated college. It was like I needed to keep myself focused on what I wanted to do. And kind of like a question I'll ask myself a lot is my mind available to me? Is it available to me? And I would say if all my mind is thinking about are worries, fears, the tasks I have to do, I would say the answer is no, it's not available to me. And for me, journaling helps make it available. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
what feels heavy right now? Let me pull this out of my head and see it in a list. What do I have to do? Let me get it out of my head and look at it. What do I really want to do with my life? Right? Like these deep questions. So I would journal a lot. Like I
Hmm.
buy journals on Amazon in a 30 pack because I just cruise through
Yeah.
them. But it helps me get everything out of my head.
Yeah. Dude, I have to show you. So I'm like, I didn't actually plan to do this, but I
Yeah, yeah,
like three or four of these bullet journals. I started bullet journaling in college,
yeah.
and I just built like a huge practice of like dumping everything into these. You can
Hmm.
see the camera. Like
Yeah.
I write like super
Get it all out of
small.
your head. Oh, good for you. Yours is way more organized than mine. But
Yeah. Oh, I have
yeah.
paper in there too. But yeah. So that's why like I see the physical writing habit changed my life.
Hmm.
And that's why even I see now, like with a planner, I lose a lot of like part of the habit of writing things down physically is just like reiterating to yourself that that's what you did.
Hmm.
You're saying it in your mind, it's going through the physical act of, okay, I'm accountable to doing this thing. And I'm not sure what it is in your mind that actually creates that stickiness of,
Yeah.
okay, I've written it down. I'm accountable towards doing it. It makes it real. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times as founders and entrepreneurs, you're doing so much stuff that unless you like have that practice of consciously like acknowledging it, and I call it closing the loop a little bit, you don't really you give yourself credit for what you're doing. And it becomes really easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you
I'd
have
love
any
to
go ahead.
add something in there because I feel like completely agree. The physical behavior, one, I remember it better. Like if you tell me something and I write it down and underline it on the top right of the page, like I can just see that so much clearer in my head than if I typed it somewhere. But then I write my accomplishments, and there's something like that feels good about that. But now I have shelves of journals of my accomplishments, and
Mhm.
there's something that maybe feeds my ego, or like it gives me
Yeah.
confidence. Probably sounds better, where it's like I can look at these shelves of lists of things I wanted to do and I've done them, and it gives me so much more confidence to say I'm gonna go after something else. Because otherwise we forget about what we accomplished and we think about all the stuff we haven't accomplished.
Mhm. Yeah, dude, that's so good. Yeah, I'm glad we connect on that. It's not something that a lot of people lose nowadays. So, um, talk to me about getting. I want to learn. This is kind of me kind of double clicking on my own curiosity a little bit. Talk to me
Okay.
about the process of building and also marketing like a physical good product. I want
Yeah.
to start with kind of you have this idea, you see how do you see the value in like systematizing, writing things down, creating a structure to it? See the need for a planner. What was the process of like making this a real thing that's differentiated from other planners that are out there?
Yeah. So I hosted focus groups. This I would say was like super important, and I would recommend it for anybody launching a product. Is I made my basic design of what I thought was gonna work well, and that was based
Mhm.
off of books I read. First, let me backtrack a little bit. I quit my job. I spent 6 months interviewing people, and I would say having a family that's has a business in our area helped. I could connect into their personal
Mhm.
network of successful entrepreneurs and ask them how they're setting and tracking their goals. I put this in a template. I thought it was ready to go. But one of them told me, you need to host focus groups. Let people try this out and get their feedback. And I thought it was a dumb idea, but out of respect for the person, I was like, whatever, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I got together a group of 6 friends, family, whatever, gave them these packets, and it was supposed to last an hour. We were there for 3 hours. We didn't get through the whole design. People were telling me, like, this doesn't make sense. It's too much writing. This is repetitive. I don't get what's going on here. Uh,
Mm.
so my ego was hurt. Like, I leave there, like, what have I
Yeah.
done? Left my job, and I have this
Mhm.
design that sucks that now I'm embarrassed about. But it was like, okay, now I have a list of things I need to improve. So I hosted 7 groups, and each time it got a little better. The last like 2 or 3, it was just working. People loved the design, they were using it, they were getting results. And then I launched, and I would say if I didn't do those, I would have 100% failed. Like, I
Mhm.
would have gotten that feedback in the form of all like 1-star reviews saying your product sucks. It wouldn't have uh, scaled, so I could get that out of the way. And even since then, I've hosted another maybe dozen or so, where now I have a longer time frame of more
Wow.
people who've used it for years. And it's like, hey, what ideas you have? What can make this better, worse? Not worse, but is making it
Yeah.
worse. And that's been really, really helpful.
Wow.
Uh, so I would say like that's probably for validating your product as a winner. Well, I would say 2 things for validating it's a winner. You have to have somebody try it, in my opinion. Beta testers, focus group, whatever you want to do. And then I pre-sold it. Uh, so I'd go like warm markets people, but just, hey, I've been working on making this planner that's going to help you set and accomplish your goals. You seem like a high achiever. I want to see if you want to order one. I have an order coming in, and that way you can get a batch of this first order. And the thing with that is like that validated for me that there was demand for the product. But if I
Mhm.
didn't do the focus groups, like you need both, because I could have pre-sold a terrible product and people would have
Mhm.
bought it just because it's like, yes, that's what I want. But it coupled together, it's like it validated, one, there was demand for it, and two, it actually delivers on the promises I'm making.
So good, dude. Yeah. I think in the beginning, when I think people get a lot of imposter syndrome around telling people about what they want to do and
Yeah.
being very diligent about it. And in the beginning, I think there's this element of you have to kind of create demand. Like you have to start the focus group. You have to get the feedback to then make the product to where it actually meets expectations and it delivers on that promise, like you said.
Mhm.
What were some of the points of feedback that you got, and how do you remove like the emotion? Like you kind of mentioned it, like it hurts your ego a little bit. How did you take the feedback as for what it was worth, and not kind of get drown in uh the personalization of it, not take it personally, take that feedback
Yeah.
for a good way.
Because my natural instinct was I wanted to argue with people when they tell me like,
Yeah.
this isn't clear. I don't get what I'm supposed to do here. It's like, yes, it is. But I think having a group of people helped. It's like if you have 6 people and all 6 of them are telling you like this is I'm confused, it's like, all right, that's on me. Right. It's not just one person. So I think that helped. And I wanted it badly. Like my desire to make a quality product was, I really wanted that.
Hmm.
So even though people were giving me bad feedback, it's like my desire was so much greater than the challenge of that bad feedback that I was willing to keep pushing through. I
Hmm.
guess like that's the reason I had the focus group. I didn't expect to get bad feedback, but that was what I was there for. So I don't know if that
Hmm.
completely answers the question, but that's kind of my thoughts around it.
No, it does. Like, and we do a lot of like website breakdowns, and that's a big part of like separating your emotion around like the head trash or like what you want the product to be. You like, and this is with anything in businesses. You have these things that you want to do, or you have your ideal vision of it, and you're kind of
Mhm.
operating in a cell. Like you have a fish and water syndrome when it comes to our own creation because we're the only use case of what it's serving currently. But man, like I admire and appreciate the heck out of you putting yourself out there like that. Like hosting focus groups is not an easy thing to do. Um, so I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit, but I
Mhm.
find this, like I said, I find this endlessly fascinating because I want to see what forms the entrepreneurship side of you. And so I want to drill a little bit more into kind of like your past in real estate and like all of these different car dealerships. I see it as these experiences kind of crafted you into someone that not just built a network, but also built the asset that is yourself to then go on and do like you built these skill sets in the back end to go on and do something that's uniquely yours and build this business. So, what are some of the lessons that you learned when it comes to marketing, sales, all these things in your past sort of lives that, made you the asset that you are now to do this under your own name?
Hmm. Uh, Probably a few things. Sales, like you learn to put yourself out there. You learn to get rejected a lot. So that's a big one. I think something that really inspired me is so my dad, he's a car dealer, right? And so I
Hmm.
was working for him, and it's my dad and my uncle. They own this business together. They're third generation. I would have been fourth, whatever. But if my dad was at the dealership I was at, I would know because he is so excited. He's loud.
Yeah.
You can just tell that he's there. But growing up seeing him, it's like I wanted the fire that he had, right? Like he loves his business. It's this expression of himself. Now he's disciplined. He works only like a set number of hours and goofs off plenty, but
Hmm.
like when he's there, he loves it. And in a way that gave me clarity, it's like that's what I want, but I'm not having it here. It's just
Hmm.
not gonna happen.
Hmm.
What else? I think another maybe thing from my upbringing, starting different departments, I feel like it drilled this lesson into me. Like, if you ever want to be great at something, you have to be bad at it first.
Hmm.
That's just what you have to go through. And I'd say when I launched my own business, I was terrible at it for years.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really hard. I thought I would just be a business genius and figure it out, and that didn't happen. But it was that instead of giving up, it's like, no, this is what it's like every time I started something new. I was bad at it, but it's like you just got to
Hmm.
put in the work. I got to learn the skills. I got to talk to other people who are smarter than me and learn how to do it. And it maybe made it more of a process because I had started again and again in these different departments that I
Yeah.
was going through.
Yeah, it's reinforcing, man. Like and it doesn't even have to look like failures, right? Like we're sitting here talking and you own like how big was your portfolio of real estate?
34 apartments.
34. That's like you have your real estate portfolio is higher than your age. Like that's wild. So it doesn't like you mentioned the times where it's hard. Like it doesn't always have to look like objective failures and like there's
Mhm,
all these things are a gradient. There are no pass fail metric, especially when you get into entrepreneurship. Like you see people who scale and sell a business and you're like, "Oh, that's a huge success." But then you actually look at the numbers, you look at the what the exit looked like and it's not the mask that it previously wore. It's not what it looks to be. But yeah,
mhm,
man, it's really encouraging to hear that, as someone who is building their own thing, that you go through things and they're hard in the beginnings, but if you stick with it long enough, you can see the results of it manifest. And it can take like different flavors. And I think it's a really
Hmm.
productive thing to have the mindset that when you're starting something new, like even if it's a failure, you're building the asset that is yourself, you know? So some people view
Hmm.
pivots or changes in their own business as like, oh, if I had started earlier, or oh, if I hadn't
Yeah.
been so distracted with this thing in the meantime. Like I think about it too. Like I've done personal training, I've done, social media marketing, I've done like all these different parts in the past. And I think like when if I just started on this very niche offering earlier and picked up on the momentum from it, I would be a lot more served to be doing what I am now. But you don't even
Hmm.
realize that you're building this asset on the back end. So I encourage people to not get overly overwhelmed. I think you're a great case study for um, when you make a pivot, you have the network, you have the skill set, and if it's in business, then you're uniquely suited to do your own thing, no matter what flavor it might take.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm gonna add something in real quick. I feel like this maybe like affirmation or something I tell myself a lot is this is what growth feels like. Like when things are hard, you feel like you've tried everything, you get rejected. It's like this is what growth feels like. Like if you want to live this epic life and do something great, you shouldn't complain then when things are hard. Right? Like nobody becomes epic by doing the easy stuff, right? It's like when I run into these challenges, like, yes, this is what I signed up for. When I decided I want to try and live a great life. When I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, like the definition of entrepreneurship is solving challenges. Suck it up.
mhm.
This is what you want to do. This is what
Yeah,
growth feels like. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's why most people stop, right? Most people don't have that cognizance to recognize, like, okay, this is what hard feels like. I need to actually lean into this. It's a sign that you're doing the right thing, that you're making the progress that you need to make.
Mhm.
And that's, like I said, that's where most people stop, is they don't have the foresight to kind of recognize the discomfort as it being the right thing that they should lean more into. So I love to see
Mhm.
that for you, man. I want to talk to you about the planners in the book. So the messaging around the planner, did you ever have a case study or outside of yourself? Because you saw the results that have manifested in your own performance in your own life. You were your own real case study. But was there ever a moment where you realized maybe it impacted someone for the first time really strongly, or you saw the results that it was manifesting outside of just your own life? You weren't your own case study anymore. That made you really want to dive into it more and think like, wow, there's a lot of value here.
Mhm. Yeah. When reviews started coming in on my Amazon listing, like the buzzword that just fills me up is when people would say like, "This has been life changing." But that was like great. Like seeing the written reviews, like really feeds the fire for me. But probably what really gave me confidence then was eventually I wanted to make a compilation of video testimonials. So I put
Hmm.
out to my email list, hey, can you make me a video review? And I had maybe like 7 people send me one. But they were just over like phenomenal. And these people weren't like my friends and family that are just doing this for me. These are people I've never met, never talked to. Uh, and they're sharing how they use it to launch a business, to lose 50 pounds, to homeschool their 6 kids, like these random
Mhm.
accomplishments. And they're attributing it to my planner, which is just so incredible. And now it's
Yeah.
interesting. Some of them I reach, well, all of them I reached out to thank, but some of them we've become friends, and it's really neat that my planner was so influential in them creating a business. Actually, one person in particular, he started using my planner. Now he coaches people on how to use my planner, and he just did that all on
Yeah.
his own. Like he sells these group coachings that he does, and then one-on-one coachings, all built on top of this goal crazy planner that like that wouldn't have been an opportunity if he didn't use the planner to change his life, and now he's sold on it to help others do it. So, yes, a handful of
Man.
stories there.
Yeah, dude, that's where you start to reach another level of impact, it's like you don't even think of, and this is what content and, the scale of the internet and stuff allows us to do. And with e-commerce, etc., is you have the case study of the people that you help one to one, but then you have the impact that those people impact because of how you impacted
Mhm,
them, right? Like it's almost like
mhm,
it's hard for the human mind to conceptualize compounding. But that's what we can do nowadays, and I love to see that you've managed to accomplish that for yourself. But one thing I wanted to double click on there is you kind of mentioned it passively, but I think it's a big part of how you've been able to build what you build is that you reached out for video testimonials and you were conscious about putting these focus groups together. How big of a role has doing manual outreach, doing the one-to-one connection at scale played and getting some of this stuff off the ground for you?
I'm a big fan of the one-to-one contact because otherwise I'm normally guessing. I'm guessing on the
Yeah.
right strategies. I'm guessing on what my customers want. And maybe now that I've done it a few times, I become very sold on it.
Mhm.
But I would say like super influential piece of advice I was given when I was starting my business. A mentor of mine told me, he was like, Jason, look, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? So whenever you want to do something new, the easiest way to do it is find someone who's already done it and just ask them how they did it. Boom,
Yeah.
there's your straight line. So I feel like now if I'm starting something new, it's like my first task is I need to get in touch with someone who's already done it. I will cold call business owners. I'll email them. I mean, we can get into strategies I've done to get into these because I'm a big fan of, I think it's highly worthwhile. But then the same as I also want to talk to my customers of like the shortest distance to making them a product that they want is to go ask them, what is it that you want?
Mhm.
And what solutions aren't you getting? So yeah, I guess I've just realized it's the straight path.
Yeah, man, pick up the phone. That's so big. Um, and like I even realized like when I first started the business like a year and a half ago, February 2024, I literally that the manual writing process, I was always writing in my journal. Like it was a hard time for me. And I think you can probably relate to what the early
Yeah.
days of entrepreneurship looks like. But it was literally an accountability. That's the double of what my journal served was I'm literally these are the people that I want to reach out to, write down all their names, get in touch with them, hear from them one to one, and go down a list and create the accountability
Mhm.
by, okay, this is the list that I'm writing from. These are the people that I want to reference. And I love that. The one to one is the shortest line. I've never actually heard that, so that's a really good manifestation of it. Do you have any daily practices now? I think these things change. Like you have different cadences, you have different priorities in the business and in life. But do you have any daily priorities or daily habits in terms of keeping in touch with a network or getting in touch with people? Do you have a structured time in your day where you're okay, manually, I'm going to reach out to this number of people, or is it kind of a natural cadence that's works its way into your life?
Yeah, it's not normally a part of my daily routine. Like for me, I don't go on social media. I try and avoid it. I've got a
Hmm.
VA who does my social media, and I feel like that's how lots of times people stay in touch. But no, I feel like I've got a handful of friends that I'm really close with, and but kind of like most of my friends now have businesses, and if I'm reaching out to them regularly, a lot of times I'll give everything I can to help them, and they return the favor. Uh, yeah, but I would say
Hmm.
I mean, more than a few, but eh, yeah, not a daily habit, not a daily
Yeah.
habit of mine. So maybe that's something I could get better in, but I'd prefer to have phone calls, get together with people, than liking their Instagram posts. Which nothing's wrong with that. That's just
Hmm.
to me, it's not where I want to spend my time.
Yeah. It's a good general principle to have. I mean, we talked to a lot of people. I deleted them off my phone, and I've been through the whole ringer of how much time you can actually waste. And like I wrote it down. One of the quotes that's really sticking with me lately is that the graveyard is filled with people who thought they just had more time. And every time
Um,
I see myself doom scrolling or going down that path, like it's really you just have to kind of catch yourself early and be self-aware about it because that quote in particular really resonated with me, and that's what I see a lot, not just in the planner and the books, but just your just sort of audience slash fan feedback for you is that I see a lot of seizing the moment in you. Like I see the energy when you speak, I see the passion for what you've built, and I see you as someone that's like excited to get up in the morning and put your vision into life. Um, so hopefully these are some lessons that the audience can learn. But I want to land the plane a little bit by taking you through like, okay, what's a day in your life looking like currently? From kind of from start to finish, you could give like a 2 to 3 minute summary of what your priorities are, how your actions are manifesting in your own planner or calendar, and to kind of take us through that journey a little bit.
yeah. So I'm going to first tie this to my planner and then show how this is executed. Is one of the things my planner helps somebody do is they make a scorecard for themselves, is what I call it, where you plan out what would your ideal day look like. A lot of times people think it's impossible to live your ideal life. It's like, nope, just plan out what your ideal day would look like and then see how close you can get to it every single day. So I make a list of like, here's my ideal day. I grade myself on it every night. But some things for me, want to get up on my first alarm, take time to pray, journal, go on a run. We've got our kids, so I then get all our kids up, breakfast. Uh, then I plan my day out the night before, so really I just dive into work. I already have a written plan for it, and I'll get to that here in a minute. Uh, then near the end of the day, I would say like underrated type of routine that I think everybody should have is what I call an end of work day routine. A lot of times people focus on their morning routine, end of day routine, love it. But I think I have an end of work day routine where for me, I'm done working at 4:45 p.m. Then I go out to my office and I work from home. And I don't really have much unwind because I don't have a commute. I just open the door and boom, I'm there. So I have an end of day routine where I want to switch gears from work to family mode. So for me, clean my office, I journal, and then I plan out the next day, which I plan my week out in advance. So I'm already have that fully written out, but I rewrite it again. So before I ever start a day, I've mentally rehearsed it twice. Once when I planned out the week, then the end of the day. But doing that before I leave my office is so powerful because now I can leave my office and it's not like I have these things looming over my head like, oh, I still have to send that email or when am I going to do this? It's like, nope, I have a written plan to get that all done tomorrow. Like now my afternoon is purely just like empty space for my family. And that's what's in my calendar. So I'd highly recommend end of day routine, then normal end of night routine stuff with my wife, but I can be fully focused on her. I do set alarms for everything the night before as well. So like before we had this podcast recording at 10:30, I had an alarm that went off at 10:20 to let me know it's time to switch gears and prepare for Andy.
I like that. Prepare for Andy.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell me more about alarms. I think that's interesting. Tell me, how many of those do you usually have in a day?
Probably pretty easily a dozen alarms. I mean, I have like
Okay.
get up. To me, it's just like I don't want my mind focused on what should I do next. It's like I have an alarm that tells me to get up. I have an alarm that tells me like it's time to start praying. I have an alarm that tells me it's time to stop praying and go do a workout. I have an alarm that says it's time to go get the kids, and it's an alarm to go do your shower. And everything is just blocked out. Some people think like that sounds robotic, but if I plan my day out with these alarms, it just flows. And I think like I would rather be slave is a strong word, but I'd rather be like following what my alarms are telling me that I was intentional about setting rather than most people don't plan their day at all and they're a slave to whatever presents itself. Notification on their phone, email somebody sends them. It's like I'm just following what I put down. Uh Another this is like alarm that I think is really powerful is I plan every day. I call it a junk drawer time block. So right after lunch is my least creative part of the day. Least creative part of the day. I just know that about myself.
Yeah.
So right after lunch, I set a timer for 40 to 60 minutes, depending on how many tasks I have, where I get all my little tasks done. And it makes me so much more productive. So in the morning, if somebody reaches out wanting something, I'm not going to get it for them then. I'll tell them I'll send it to you this afternoon after lunch. But then it's like in the morning, I'm fully focused on my projects. And then I can clear the deck of those little tasks that come up right after lunch and then get back to fully focusing on the projects in the afternoon. Because I think people forget that they're going to have little things come up. It's like you need to have a dedicated, I call it a junk drawer time block, just like I have a junk drawer at home where all the little knickknacks fall into. You have the same stuff come up in your calendar, and I block it in advance to get those done.
Yeah. First of all, I love that. I am a big victim of and I just talked with another founder about this last night, is how like how you have to manage your expectations for anything after the first time you eat during the day, because it's going downhill from there. I know a lot of people, probably a lot of the listeners can relate to that like post insulin spike that you get after lunch. But I love your idea of saying, okay, let's kind of prepare for that, have the foresight a little bit to say, I'm going to batch some of these tasks in that window, probably your lower brainwave tasks like emails, scheduling, admin, and just kind of get ahead of it. I love that idea. And I love the junk drawer analogy too. It's the same I've used the same analogy on like the footers of websites. Is where we put a bunch of links to navigating to other places on the site where we don't want to crowd out the actual navigation. So
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
good.
love that. One last question I did want to ask you because I've asked a lot of questions and like as you answer them, I'm getting like a ton of ideas for more, which is the sign of a good conversation. But talk to me about like when you were first rolling out this planner, the product. What were some of the issues and the biggest lessons that you learned kind of in getting a physical product out to market, like making something proprietary? You kind of made the analogy with software a little bit, and you're
Mhm.
doing user testing, having focus groups. What was the process of creating something unique and proprietary and making it something physical? We talked about the tangible nature of holding a journal, holding a book. What was it like on the journey of getting that to be real?
Challenges, there's a lot of decisions, I think, when you're making anything, just like when you're making your website, there's a lot of decisions. With a physical product, they're pretty permanent. Like, I can
Hmm.
change my planner design, but
Right.
it's harder, especially if I already sold you the planner. Versus, like, if I have a website and somebody tells you, like, "Hey, click the link," and it didn't work, boom, I'm gonna have it fixed, right? But
Yeah.
planner, it's like, "Hey, the half the page is missing." I don't know, like, you can't fix it. It's
Mm.
just it's already there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
so I think maybe it's like finding when is this good enough? And it's really interesting. Like, I've sold tons of planners with typos. One of the on the daily pages, one of the questions that asks you is what you're grateful for. I sold like over 10,000 planners, and grateful was spelled wrong. And nobody ever once reached out about it. But like they would reach out about these other things. Like, I think there's two spaces here, and I'd pull it up and be like, how the heck do you know that? Sure enough, there was. But those things gave me confidence where just make a good product. And yeah, but that was maybe hard as when is it good enough and ready to go. Uh, Other challenges with a physical product, managing inventory is a pain in the butt. Um, that's not very positive, but,
Yeah.
if you don't have inventory, so learning to budget your money, because when money was coming in, especially as a new entrepreneur who's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm rich. Like, I'm all this revenue is coming in." And then all of a sudden, I'd be running low on inventory and it's like, "Hey, you've got to buy $30,000 worth of planners for your next batch of inventory." And it's like, "Well, crap, where did all that money that I just had
Mhm.
go?" So that was another skill that I had to learn.
Yeah. I can't imagine because these are you bought inventory ahead of time. You don't do print on demand or anything like that.
No, I'm a pretty detail-oriented person. I wanted them very specific. They're hand sewn. They have these little folders on the back and these habit cards, and it's too much for print on demand. Actually, they won't even make it in America. American people will not hand sew a planner for me. But I wanted it to lay this certain type of lay flat design, and nobody hand
Mhm.
sews in America. Um, so I can't
Interesting.
do print on demand.
These are the 1% things that you learn when you go in and do this. And I think a lot of people have like these ideas and they think it's going to be not easy, but they don't think of all the small things that can come up. And then when I see a physical product that's not just been this successful, but has impacted this many people, I'm like, I know this guy has been through the ringer of making like 0.01% changes that nobody even thinks of. So that's kind of why I wanted to
Yeah.
ask that. But
Yeah. I wanna
yeah,
add one thing to that, though, because I don't want somebody to feel, like, overburdened if they wanna launch a product. I would say, like, I
mm,
launched this knowing nothing about how to get planners made, where I was gonna source them, what he was gonna be named, anything. But I had a dream inside of me, and, like, I think what you gotta figure out is what's gonna light the fire inside of you. You have a podcast, you've probably met entrepreneurs who have the most random businesses, maybe I'm one of them,
mhm,
and somehow they've made it successful. Like, I'm sold that with the right strategies, you can make just about any business successful. So rather than looking for this perfect product to sell, I want you to scour your heart to find, like, what's the product that's gonna light a fire inside of you so that the when the challenges arise, which will happen, your desire needs to be so much greater than that challenge in front of you, where it's like, it's irrelevant. I will figure this out because this is what I want to do with my life.
yeah, I love that. That was really good. I think it's a really good place to kind of land the plane, but I encourage anyone that's listening or that comes across this episode to go to your website and check out the actual planners because I have one in my shopping cart right now, so I'm looking forward to getting that. Hopefully,
There we go.
they've got a direct line tailored out for us here in Ohio. So, um, but yeah, I highly encourage people to go check that out. If people want to kind of continue the conversation with you, learn more about what you do and who you are, where should they go?
Yeah, so my website is goalcrazy.com. That's goal like a soccer goal. Don't go crazy, goal crazy. Then also, I just wrote a book. It's called Dream Driven, and it'll help you figure out what's your perfect business idea, how to validate it, and launch it this year. Last thing, if they aren't ready to buy a book, if they go to my site, goalcrazy.com/idea, they can get a free PDF that'll walk them through some exercises so you can find your perfect business idea, one that will light the fire inside of you to give you the courage to push past the challenges that will likely arise.